Today I was going to record about China's maneuvers and exercises threatening Taiwan. That is the biggest geopolitical and geostrategic news in the world today. But then something happened, and overnight I thought I cannot do this. Moral and ethical responsibilities lie elsewhere. My friends, today we are going to speak about the plight of Kashmiri Pandits and why the government has not been able to stop these killings in Kashmir. Why are people being killed in Kashmir? Why these targeted killings? What is the solution? Let me try and offer my 2 cents as to how we may take this forward. Hi, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching Checkmate. Friends, again a very unfortunate killing of a Kashmiri Pandit and wounding of another. And this has continued for a very long time. Now why is this happening? Who are the people who are doing the killing? And who are the people who are being killed? So let us start with the killers themselves. So we have this new group in Kashmir called the TRF, the Resistance Front. Sounds very glamorous, doesn't it? Resisting against tyranny, resisting against India's occupation of Kashmir. The truth is a little different. TRF is an extension of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. For long, the world has been telling Pakistan that it has weaponized Islam in Kashmir. You've always had groups like Al-Faran, you had groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba, the Jaish-e-Mohammed, the Hizbul Mujahideen, and none of these groups had Kashmir or liberation in its name. One group called the JKLF is now a dead duck, defunct long ago. The Pakistani establishment weaponized Islam, created these pan-Islamic jihadi groups to take on terror activities in Jammu and Kashmir. And this is how it rolled. Now suddenly, with a lot of backlash, with Pakistan being continuously in the FATF grey list, they decided to change the branding. Lashkar-e-Taiba in Kashmir Valley became the Resistance Front. Now this is a quote-unquote secular sounding name. And I'll admit, it does have a tinge of romance to it. As I said, resisting against tyranny. Now, all this is superficial. What does this really mean? Groups like these target 3 kinds of people. It is not just the Pandits who are being killed. As I said, groups like these target 3 kinds of people. Number 1, J&K police. Most of the times, the J&K police personnel who are targeted are unarmed, going to the market, at their homes, going to the masjid to offer namaz. They are selectively targeted, killed, and before that, an exhaustive and detailed recce is carried out, or a reconnaissance if you will. Targets are identified and then eliminated. Number 2, people who are part of the political spectrum, journalists who want normalcy in Kashmir, people with pro-India sentiment. History's witness that such people have been deliberately killed, deliberately targeted by the terrorist organizations. Anybody who does not follow their diktat, anybody who does not follow their narrative is wiped out. And the third are the Kashmiri Hindus, the migrants, or even the Kashmiri Pandits. Now, I'll tell you one by one why these people are targeted. Most of the J&K police personnel who are targeted are Muslims. I would go on to say 95% of the J&K police personnel who are targeted and killed are Muslims. Then why would a terror group who says that it's comprised of Muslims end up killing Muslims? The problem, as far as these terror groups are concerned, the TRF is concerned, the Lashkar-e-Taiba, the Jaish-e-Mohammed is concerned, is that these people wear the uniform of Indian police and hence they are enemies of jihad, they are enemies of Islam. These policemen are targeted because they are loyal to India. Today, let's make no bones, J&K police personnel are targeted because the terrorists believe, and rightly so, that they are loyal to India. No other police force in this country has given so much of sacrifice in the line of duty like J&K police, especially in the last 30 to 35 years. This is one part of it. Why are politicians targeted? Why are journalists targeted? As I said, these are people who are pro-India or at least pro-normalcy in Kashmir. These are not the people who would have anything positive to say about the Pakistan army or Pakistan itself. They are silenced. And number 3, the pundits. The initial targeting of migrants was to make sure that there was a scare in the Kashmir Valley and that the migrants would run away. You know, people selling fruit on a cart, people working in a shop, or people working in some office. These were the kind of people who have been targeted. Anybody who's from outside is targeted. And they're targeted because the terrorists wish to drive home a point that you are not welcome in Kashmir. Kashmir is not for outsiders. Have you realized that the terrorists, except maybe for an exception here and there, never target tourists? Yes, there have been 1 or 2 slip-ups from the terrorists, but the terrorists never target tourists because they know that the day they target tourists, the Kashmiris will turn against them, because tourism is the lifeblood of the Kashmir Valley. And after a very long time, this year has been a bumper tourism season. So why are the pundits targeted? For what? Pundits are targeted, and this targeting of pundits is not new. It has happened for over 100 years. Don't be surprised. It's happened for over 100 years. Pundits have been selectively targeted in Kashmir, sometimes by radical Islamists, and sometimes, for the past 30 odd years, 35 years, by terrorist groups supported by Pakistan. And there are 2 reasons for it. A, to tell the world that Kashmir is 100% Muslim and there is no place for Hindus and Sikhs and Christians or anybody else. And number 2, what the terrorists really want to do by targeting Kashmiri pundits is also to somehow make sure or to ensure that there is a reaction on Kashmiris who are studying, especially students, in different universities and colleges in India. So the plan here is like this: keep on targeting Kashmiri Hindus and Kashmiri pundits. Eventually, somebody will get very upset about it and start targeting Kashmiri students in, let's say, Bangalore and Noida, in Mumbai and in other places. So all those of you who get very upset about Hindu killings, I absolutely support you. I'm with you there. But please remember why Hindus are being killed. Of course, they're being killed because they're Hindus. But what is the reason? There is a deeper reason behind it. And the reason is this: that they want to get a reaction out of the Hindu masses. This is what they want. And always remember, the moment you touch a Kashmiri Muslim in Bangalore, in Mumbai, in Delhi, Gurgaon, Noida, any other part of India, the day there is quote-unquote retaliation, Pakistan would have won, because this is exactly what they want you to do. Now, what is the solution to this entire exercise? Number 1, of course, I absolutely agree that Kashmiri pundits are in a great deal of pain, and many are saying that they don't want to live in Kashmir simply because it's not safe in Kashmir. And you cannot fault that argument. You know, a person whose father has been killed, mother has been killed, sister or brother has been killed, only they can know about the pain that they feel. The grieving families, they feel the pinch. It's very easy for me to sit in a studio in Noida and say that, you know, pundits should do this and the government should do this, and you are at fault and you are at fault. It's easy to sit here and give gyan. It's another matter altogether to go to Kashmir and try to resolve issues. But today I'm going to share something slightly radical with all of you. And I hope my Kashmiri Pandit brothers and sisters will listen to me with patience. Number 1, we are trying to solve this problem in Kashmir This problem does not emanate from Kashmir. This problem emanates from Pakistan. And unless we solve the problem from where it emanates, this problem will continue to exist. You can launch 100,000 anti-terror operations in Kupwara, in Pulwama, in Anantnag, in Taral, in any of the districts of Jammu and Kashmir. You can keep on launching operations. You will never end terrorism in Kashmir. Because I feel we are solving the wrong problem here. The problem is that this entire issue of radicalization of Kashmiri society, radicalization of Kashmiri youth, the pushing of terrorists from across the border or across the line of control into India happens from Pakistan. And unfortunately, all our operations, except for the odd surgical strikes or the airstrikes on Balakot, almost all of our actions have taken place on Indian soil. This is the time to actually go across the line of control and put the fear of God into the Pakistanis. Otherwise, bloodshed will not stop in Kashmir. This is something that I believe in, and this is something that is logical too. If there is a problem in Pakistan, why solve that problem in Srinagar? You have to solve the problem from where it emanates. Point number 2. The issue of radicalization in Kashmir. This issue is very old. There was a time when masjids were used for radicalization. There was a time when preachers and even jihadis would come across the line of control from Pakistan and radicalize the youth. Today, internet is available. I'm not painting all the youth in Kashmir with the same brush, but talk to any security expert from Kashmir and he will tell you that the kind of content in the mobile phones of Kashmiri youth is pure poison. Much of it has directly to do with Al-Qaeda or the Islamic State. Kashmir is being radicalized at a furious pace. And this radicalization is not immediately seen, which is why many in the security establishment don't see it as an immediate threat. They know that radicalization is happening. They know it's a problem. But there is this unwillingness to confront it. Forget about confronting it. There is an unwillingness to even use the term Islamic radicalization, lest someone feel offended. Now, I think the time for offending and being offended is long gone. We are faced with the same problem in Kerala also. And I'd like to tell the viewers that unless we identify the problem, there is a very slim chance of us solving it. Pakistan will continue to bleed India and Kashmir. Yes, we have contained terrorism. Yes, for the past 8 odd years, we have ensured that there is hardly any terror activity outside the state of Jammu and Kashmir. But even Kashmiris, Hindus and Muslims both, are Indian citizens, and their life is the responsibility of the Indian state. We need to do a few things so that everything stops in Kashmir. These killings, these wanton killings stop. Regarding Jammu and Kashmir police, the first thing we need to do is their SPOs, special police officers, are very badly paid. They are not looked after. When the army operates in Kashmir, the army does high impact kinetic operations in Kashmir. But once that operation is over, that army man goes back into the safety and security of his camp, his COB, or the cantonment. He's safe there. He can deposit his weapon, he can go, rest, relax, eat food, have a bit of R&R, and be back fresh the next day for another round of battle with terrorists. But where does the Kashmiri policeman go? He goes back to his house in the mohalla. His family is exposed. He is exposed. He does not get a transfer out of Kashmir because that is his home. And he is marked for death even after he retires. There is no safety. There is no safety for the people of J&K police who are posted in Kashmir. They can be identified and killed even after they have retired. People in Kashmir have very long memories. What is the solution here? What we must do is empower J&K police. hire more people in J&K police. And like the army has cantonments, J&K police must have police colonies. The government must spend money, purchase land, and have colonies of thousands and thousands of houses with all amenities like it must have schools for the kids of J&K police personnel. It must have hospitals for J&K police personnel, because one day in the future, and I'm not saying that this will happen after 1 year or even 10 years, but one day the Indian Army will leave the hinterland of Kashmir. One day the Indian Army will go away from Kashmir and limit itself to the line of control. Maybe it's going to happen after 10 years, I don't know. Maybe it's going to happen after 20 years, but one day it will happen. And that day, it is J&K police that must handle the entire safety and security of Kashmir. The entire law and order, including anti-terrorist operations, if terrorism is still there at that point in time. To empower J&K police, to pay them good salaries, to look after their welfare, to make sure that they are trained very well, to make sure they are equipped very well. This will cause a great deal of stability in the environment in Kashmir. Point number 2, we need to look at de-radicalization and counter-radicalization in Kashmir. De-radicalization, when a person is radicalized and then you de-radicalize him. Counter-radicalization, doing it before he is de-radicalized. And this starts from school. And I don't know if I'm ruffling feathers here. It starts from primary school in Kashmir. Primary school, secondary school. The teachers, the professors, many of them, not all of them, but many of them, teach India hatred to children. I speak from personal experience. I go to Kashmir every month, and what I'm telling you is what I've seen and what I've heard with my own ears. And for the last point, for which I'd requested the patience of my Kashmiri Pandit brothers and sisters. As I said, it's very easy for me to say that don't leave Kashmir. I'm safe in my house. You're not safe. So it will be hypocritical of me to ask Kashmiri Pandits to stay back in Kashmir. You know, people will say that you are safe, your family is safe, we are being killed, and you are saying stay put. For what? For being killed? For being slaughtered like sheep? No. What I'm saying is that over a period of time, this is exactly what the terrorists want you to do. They want you to leave. And once you leave, there is no coming back. What I'm going to ask the government is slightly radical. And I would request my Kashmiri Pandit brothers and sisters to understand this with an open mind. It is time to arm the KPs. It is time to give weapon training to Kashmiri Pandits. It is time to get in batches of Kashmiri Pandit women and men to army camps and give them exhaustive training in small arms, including pistols, including AK-47s. There has never been return fire when the Kashmiri Pandit community has been attacked violently by terrorists. Nobody has returned fire. And this boosts up the morale of the terrorists, because they know that they can enter into a Kashmiri Pandit house and there is no return fire. Because Kashmiri Pandits are not armed. They need to be armed. And not just with age-old single-shot rifles. There should be a special provision by the state government to ensure that Kashmiri Pandits are armed with the latest weapons. They're trained. Give them 3 months of training. There are Rashtra Rifles units all over. There are CRPF units all over. Put all these men and women under a training program and then give them weapons. Then give them ammunition. The day a terrorist fires on a Kashmiri Pandit household, the day he fires at a Kashmiri Pandit, and the day fire is returned, the terrorists will understand that KPs are not to be messed with. For a very long time, you wouldn't have heard of terrorists attacking an army camp. Why? You know, throw an odd grenade at the CRPF and run away. They don't even do that with the Indian Army, by the way. Why? Because they know that there is armed response. You touch an army man and there will be consequences. They know that if they harm an army person, Even if he's a civilian, he's on leave, he's in Kashmir, you harm him, the Indian Army will hunt you down, even if it takes a year. You know, Rifleman Aurangzeb, Lieutenant Umar Fayaz, they were killed by cowardly terrorists, and the Indian Army hunted down the people who were responsible. They know that the Indian Army will not stop. The day you touch a man in olive green, the countdown starts for you. The terrorists know this very well. This is why, unless it's a Fedayeen attack, unless they have come to die, they will not attack an army camp or attack an army personnel. Even with the CRPF, it is random shooting and running away. It is random grenade throwing and running away. There is no desire to engage with the CRPF. As far as the J&K police is concerned, as I said, unarmed J&K police personnel, these terrorists are so cowardly, they do not even have the strength to confront a J&K police constable who's armed. They will not do that. They will wait for the J&K police constable to go to the masjid to read namaz. And when he offers namaz and when he's coming back, that is the time when they attack him, when he's unarmed. They'll go kill a shopkeeper. They'll kill a pharmacist. They'll kill everybody who they think is unarmed and defenseless. This is the level of so-called courage of these terrorists. Coming back to my point, I think Kashmiri Pandits need to have weapons in their houses. They need to be trained in how to use the weapons, sophisticated weapons. Yes, there will be a fallout. Have I considered those fallouts? Of course I have. There might be misuse also. Because when you give a person a weapon, you also give him a sense of power. An AK-47 is a fearsome weapon. But that exactly is my point. When you train a person how to use a weapon and he knows that he is responsible, that time the terrorists will learn to fear the Kashmiri Pandits, because fire will be met by fire. There are no easy solutions to what is happening in Kashmir. As I said, I was going to talk about Taiwan and I was going to talk about China. But you know, these constant images, these constant videos of Kashmiri Pandits and innocent Muslims in the Kashmir Valley being targeted, especially J&K police, they break my heart. They break my heart. And one has to find a solution. You have to have J&K police people going everywhere with weapons and going in groups. Once you build those colonies for them, and it won't take more than a year, once you build those colonies for them, they can have a masjid inside the colony. They needn't go out. And when they go out, make an SOP. You'll go out in groups of at least 4. Make a mini cantonment for them, if you will. And this cantonment can be there in every single district of Kashmir and in certain sensitive areas of Jammu as well. This will give them that confidence that they can sleep peacefully at night. This will give them the confidence that their children, their wives, their family members are safe. This will give them the confidence that the government truly cares for them. J&K police is the future of Kashmir. This is a humble roadmap from a person who has been a student of Kashmiri politics, Kashmiri security, and self-confessedly a friend of the Kashmiri people. Thank you for watching this episode. I'll catch you again next week. Till then, have a great weekend.